How many of you, keep your hands up, how many of you know that what you post on Facebook now and what you posted on Facebook when you were back in high school could cost you your dream job? Okay, quite a few know that, which is really good because I'm going to tell you how to avoid that. So today I'm going to talk to you about your profile, what to do, what not to do, and some ideas that you really want to avoid. And I'm also going to show you what else you can do, such as create a new profile. If your profile as it stands right now is just beyond saving for a professional environment, it might just be best to delete it and start fresh. I actually had a friend that did that recently. And building a personal page, how many of you have seen pages that you can like? Okay, that's what I'm talking about for yourself as a professional. So if you want to be a marketing manager, we'll say. So you want to go in and be one of the top people in the marketing field, you have your own website that doesn't cost you a dime. Unless, of course, you want advertisements, and we'll talk about that in a moment. For those of you that don't have a Facebook profile, which is very few of you in this room, you go to facebook.com, you fill out this. It's a lot like signing up for LinkedIn, which I know we've all done today, or over the course of this class. And if you just simply want to make a page and you don't want a profile, you go to that little itty-bitty link at the very bottom, the blue circle. Click on that and it will take you to start making a page. Also a very similar process to making a profile. So looking at an actual timeline, we're going to use mine as an example. Recently, well, within the past couple of years, Facebook updated their profiles to what's called a timeline. You have two main photos, the cover photo and the profile photo. Notice how striking that cover photo is. It is the biggest part that someone's going to see if they are just coming to your page. So if you have you and your friends partying it up in the club, that's going to send a really bad message to future employers. And the same thing with your profile picture. If an employer scrolls down, they're going to start seeing stuff like this. So, for example, I have my work history right here. I'm a Pampered Chef independent consultant. And I would also like to point out that I've seen a lot of people put down that they worked at the Krusty Krab or tons of other fictional businesses that an employer's going to look at and go, well, that's a little immature, not very professional, maybe I should look for someone else. So be truthful as to where you've really worked. Same thing with your education. Don't say you went to Hogwarts. I know Wartburg sounds a lot like Hogwarts, but it's not Hogwarts. You don't use wands. And the next thing they're going to see are your photos. So speaking of photos, how many of you have heard the saying, a picture's worth 1,000 words? We've all heard that, right? Yeah, it's so true. So for example, if you want to show that you're friendly, you're approachable, you like having a nice time, these two images would be totally acceptable on your Facebook page. The only way that this one here on the left to be controversial is that they're holding drinks. So if you are applying for a job at a company that's very strict on alcohol and they don't want anyone that drinks for an employee, then that would become controversial. But as it stands right now, not too bad. The one on the right, however, is extremely acceptable. The girls are friendly and approachable. They're standing in respectable ways. Photos that you need to delete. If you need to censor a photo, it should not be on Facebook. You would not believe how often I see photos like this on my newsfeed, and I'm looking at that going, you're going to regret posting that tomorrow. In the same way, if you're in the bar and the bartender is literally pouring drinks into your mouth, again, that shows a really unprofessional attitude, and employers aren't going to like it. Going back to this view of your timeline, we've all seen the timeline, the about, that will list, your relationship status, if you have any family members on there that you've added as a family member, your photos that we just talked about, your friends. Add friends selectively. If you have a lot of friends that are into drugs, alcohol abuse, and lots of other things, not exactly a good thing to have. And Then you'll notice that more category. People don't realize how big that more category really is. Look how long that list is. That's a lot of ways that you could appear unprofessional. For example, if you have liked a lot of pages that use the F word, that's going to seem extremely unprofessional to an employer. Quite frankly, if I was hiring people, that's the category I would go to, because I know people don't clean it up very often. In the same way with TV shows, movies, music, various other things. And here, right there, is where you're going to see statuses and things you've shared. Last fall, I had an internship at a law office here in town, and my eyes were greatly opened by some people who really had no discretion on what they posted for Facebook. Do not post links to porn sites. This happened, I have seen this, and it was kind of working against the person in a court of law, so keep that in mind too. Your Facebook can actually be drawn into a court. And as well as don't share photos of people doing really disgusting, nasty things, and oh man, the photos I can tell you about that I saw in that law office, please use discretion. Same thing with books. If a book you've read maybe isn't appropriate for a wide audience, you may not want to say that you've read it. Just because you have read it doesn't mean you need to list it on Facebook. How to delete and hide stuff, because we've all posted something we regret or something that we were wrong about. So if you just want to hide it, that isn't very difficult. Facebook has become very good about this lately. If you'll notice, I had a status that I was admittedly wrong about. I'll leave it up because it's not that bad. But let's say that I wanted to hide it, so only I could see it. You would select that only me. However, if you wanted to keep it up there but only have a couple of people see it, you go to that custom. It'll pull up a box, and you can say, share with only, maybe I want James down here, forgot to mark out his name. Maybe I only want James to see that. So I can just say, share with James and no one else. And public, people don't realize how often public is checked. If you have people that are not your friends checking that out, they can see anything that is public. If you want to just simply delete something, you'll notice I have a status here. Up in the right-hand corner, if you click on that little drop-down arrow, you'll notice that there's a delete at the very bottom of that drop-down. Click on that. It will ask you if you want to make sure that you want to delete this. You click yes, and it will delete it for you. If you have a photo that you've been tagged in by a friend and you don't want that tag on there anymore, you pull it up. This is the photo viewer. You go down to options. A pop-up box will show, and you click on report or remove tag, and it'll take you through step-by-step instructions to remove the tag. This is also where if you want to save the photo to your personal desktop, you can click download. You can also make it your profile picture or your cover photo from this view. And if you want to create a page, the page that I'm going to tell you how to do is something that you can actually list on a business card. You will have a personal URL that you can put right onto a business card, and people can go right to it. You can also put your LinkedIn on there, but we'll get back to that in a moment. This is the newsfeed. So if you notice that little gear up in the top right-hand corner, if you click on that, you'll have a drop-down box. Where I have the purple circle, you can see Create Page, Manage Page. So click on Create Page if you do not have a page currently. It'll take you to a view like this. Now, for your purposes, it might be best to click on an artist, band, or public figure. Now, in my case, I'm not a musician, I'm not a band, I'm not an artist, so I just simply clicked on public figure. However, if you are a person who plans on going into the music industry, you can select that you're a singer, that you're a musician. You type in the name, agree to Facebook terms, and get started. It'll take you to a view like this. Again, this is a lot like setting up a profile to begin with. You fill out this. I'd like to point out that this line right there is where you will select your URL. So that one you want to make sure it looks really nice. Have your name, maybe the occupation you want to go into, or the field you'd like to go into. So if I wanted to get a field in law, I could put down Amanda Bonger, legal secretary, or Amanda Bonger, attorney at law. And then that would select that. You'll also notice right above that there is an add another site. That's where you can actually put in your LinkedIn account. You can also, if you're really brave, you can put in your Instagram, your Twitter, and a few other things like that that are social media as well. Then it'll take you to step 2, which I did not include because it's just selecting a profile picture, which you can upload to from your computer, just like attaching a document to an email or selecting a profile photo for LinkedIn or your Facebook account. Then step 3 looks at adding this to the favorites. I've never had to do that before with a page, and I've created a few, but it's there if you want to do that. And then step 4, that will be where you can choose to create an advertisement. Advertisements do cost money on Facebook, relatively inexpensive, and they're also optional, they're not needed, so creating a page doesn't require you to purchase an advertisement, but it may not hurt if you did. So this is an admin panel. For those of you that have never created a page, this is how you can control what is posted and who you can track who's sending you messages, who's using your page, who's viewing your page, how many people have viewed your page. So you can add a post by typing in just like what you would for a status or sharing a link. This would also be a great way to promote that you really are who you say you are. So if you use, we'll say StumbleUpon from Tuesday, and you find an article on there that would be very relevant to marketing or law or whatever you intend to go into, this would be a great way to share that article for the people that view your page. And then it just kind of builds your credibility. You can invite your friends to like it. Again, same principle with adding friends. Use discretion as to who you invite to like your page. This is what the actual page will look like. I didn't add any photos to it. But where the flag is where your profile picture would go. And you can also add a cover photo, much like what I did on my timeline. And for an example, if I wanted a job at a law office, I probably wouldn't be posting pretty pictures of flowers for my cover photo on this particular page. I'd post something that was maybe a little bit more legal, such as the scales of justice or something to that effect. And I would choose a very professional headshot for my profile picture. And then down below, it really does work just like a timeline for a personal profile. You type in statuses, you can type in links or share photos, videos of perhaps some great moment that you had in business. So for any additional questions you have, you can go to facebook.com/help. And if you want to sign up for Facebook and have not done so already, you can just simply go to facebook.com and start making your profile or pages that you can put onto a business card. Thank you very much.